Technology the way you like it. This is Technology Today. Hey, welcome everybody to Technology Today, episode number 25, milestone episode. I'm your host, David Herzog, and I've got some stories from the world of technology, and I'm going to talk about the new SSD storage technologies, M.2 SATA and M.2 NVMe. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started. Well, alright everybody, what's going on? David Herzog talking at you here once again, live on YouTube and live on Twitter. Technology Today podcast, episode number 25. Wow, I cannot believe I've done 25 of these so far. I started this back in 2017 when I was still in college. And 3 years later, I'm on my 25th episode. Hopefully I'll have 25 more after that. And 25 more after that, and continue with this podcast, bringing you the information that I find of what's going on in technology and what's going on with new technology. So with that being said, let's get to our first story here, shall we? Okay. May 2020, past Tuesday, Microsoft fixes 110 vulnerabilities, 13 critical. Today, well, I guess I might as well say yesterday, because yesterday was Patch Tuesday. Microsoft's May 2020 Patch Tuesday, and as many system administrators are working remotely, so please be patient as they may not be able to respond quickly. Yeah, a lot of IT departments are having to push these out on all their computers of all businesses. Well, anyway, with the release of the May 2020 Patch Tuesday security updates, Microsoft has released fixes for 111 vulnerabilities and Microsoft products. Of these vulnerabilities, 13 are classified as critical, 91 as important, 3 as moderate, and 4 as low. This month, there are no 0-day or unpatched vulnerabilities. Users should install these security patches as soon as possible to protect Windows from known security risk. And I did that on all of my computers yesterday that I have in my home. And here's a little note here for information about the non-security Windows updates. You can read about today's Windows 10 cumulative updates, KB 4556 799 and KB 455 1853. The vulnerabilities of interest are 3 critical Microsoft Edge vulnerabilities were patched by Microsoft this month that could allow an attacker to perform remote code execution by tricking a user into visiting a maliciously crafted website. And those 3 vulnerabilities that Microsoft found were CVE 2020-1056, Microsoft Edge Elevation of Privilege Vulnerability, CVE 2020-1059, Microsoft Edge Spooling Vulnerability, and CVE 2020-1096, Microsoft Edge PDF Remote Code Execution Vulnerability. And if these are exploited, these vulnerabilities could allow the attacker to execute commands on the computer with full user rights. Another critical vulnerability exists in the color management module, ICM32.dll, that allows attackers to perform remote code execution by tricking a user into visiting a malicious website. And then there's CVE 2020-1117. That's the Microsoft color management remote code execution vulnerability. So if you don't have the Windows updates, go to your Windows updates, and check your updates and make sure and download the updates. So you have the latest and greatest to protect yourself from the vulnerability in an online world. All right, let's see. The next tech news I have here: Microsoft Edge rolls out in Windows 10 2004 via a Windows update. Microsoft has started to push out an update to Windows Insiders in the release preview ring that replaces Microsoft Edge Legacy with a new Chromium-based Microsoft Edge browser. Windows Insiders on the release preview ring are currently using Windows 10 2004 build 1904 1.264, which Microsoft expects to be the final release that will be delivered as the May 2020 update. Starting around May 8th, 2020, Microsoft began rolling out a new 2020-05 Microsoft Edge update for Windows 10 version 2004 for x64 based systems, KB 459309. Update to Windows Insiders in the release preview ring. After the update is installed, users will be prompted to restart Windows. During this restart process, Microsoft Edge Legacy will be removed and replaced with the current version of Microsoft Edge. So, and here we go. And at the time of this writing, the version of Microsoft Edge being installed is 81.0.416.72. And once installed, will walk users through a short guided setup wizard. The rollout of the new Microsoft Edge is going to be extremely beneficial to Windows users, especially those who do not install other browsers on the computer. As the new Microsoft Edge is based on Google Chrome, which is the most widely supported browser, users will be able to take advantage of a reliable browser right out of the box. And the new Microsoft Edge browser is also going to include new features such as a QR code website, sharing, collections, and vertical tabs. So if you're a Microsoft Edge browser user, that's something for you. And also here, the final tech news story that I have for you all today is Tech News 3, 4 tips for protecting users from COVID-19 targeted attacks. And as we all know, there's all kinds of scams going on, phishing emails and all kinds of other COVID-19 related domains and stuff. If you see anything that says COVID-19 on it in your inbox, don't click on it. More than likely, it's probably a scam. All right. And for the last bit of news here, attackers are using this time of crisis to go after victims with targeted campaigns. The biggest threats are phishing attacks related to COVID-19. Attackers are also setting up COVID-19 related domain names and enticing people to click on them. Anomaly recently released a report that identified at least 15 distinct COVID-19 related campaigns associated with 11 threat actors, distributing 39 different malware families and employing 80 MITRE attack techniques. Wow, that's a lot. In January, the attacks typically were malicious emails that appeared to be notifications from welfare providers and public health sectors. In February, the attacks shifted to include remote access, Trojans, RATS, Checkpoint reported in March an increase of fraudulent COVID-19 themed domains. In mid-March, an increase of fraudulent COVID-19 themed domains. In mid-March, researchers noted that attackers were mimicking the Johns Hopkins coronavirus map. Wow. Something, isn't it? And everything that we got to be aware of and be vigilant against. Recently, Microsoft noted several themed attack trends on the networks that it monitors. Every country is seeing at least one COVID-19 themed attack. China, the US, and Russia were most targeted. TrickBot and Emotet malware are rebundling and rebranding themselves to take advantage of the COVID-19 threats and were reusing various lures. Roughly 60,000 emails include COVID-19 related malicious attachments or malicious URLs. Attackers are impersonating official organizations to wiggle into your inboxes. Smart Screen tracked more than 18,000 malicious COVID-19 themed URLs and IP addresses. Microsoft Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection prevented a big phishing attack that intended to use a fictitious Office 365 sign-in package to harvest credentials. Attackers have targeted healthcare organizations, prompting Microsoft to make its Account Guard threat notification service available at no cost to healthcare providers and human rights and humanitarian organizations. Fish Labs reported that cybercriminals are using COVID-19 related voicemail notifications to trick people to log in and steal credentials. Trustwave reported that COVID-19 themed businesses email compromised BEC scams are increasing. The UK's National Cybersecurity Centre, NCSC, indicates that attackers are also targeting remote access and home user entry points. And how can, if you're a business manager or IT CIO in a business, how can you protect your remote employees from COVID-19 related attacks? What actions can you take to ensure that your employees and your network won't be targeted? Here's a few of them. Protect your endpoints. Enable Microsoft Defender ATP, which is available with a Windows 10 E5 license or a Microsoft 365 Enterprise license, or a third-party endpoint protection tool. This includes home machines. Enable multi-factor authentication for online exchange and email. Microsoft recently pushed off disabling basic authentication as a result of the COVID-19 impact on organizations. Attackers go after POP, IMAP, and basic authentication on Office 365 targets. They will use password spray attacks and password reuse to break into your network. This is why you should disable basic or legacy authentication and support modern authentication. Also use conditional access policies to block older vulnerable authentication methods. Have MFA on your email. Ensures that attackers can't use the easy attacks on your organization. You can set a rule that anyone logging in from the static IP address of the office locations are not prompted by MFA prompts, ensuring that this protection is focused on remote entry points that attackers target the most. Also, consider adding geographic log in limitations via conditional access rules to better protect your network as well. Have an email filtering or hygiene between your firm's mailboxes and the outside world. And whether it's Office ATP or another filtering device, ensure that you are protecting what is increasingly a huge targeted attack surface. Phishing attacks in your inbox. Okay, and you can also reach out to other resources to learn and share what you are seeing in your organization. A group of security researchers have been together to share risk and threats under the banner of the COVID-19 Cyber Threat Coalition. Review its weekly recap or sign up for its Slack channel to share information and resources. And that little sound that you hear, is the last segment of the podcast here. I'm going to talk about M.2 SATA and M.2 NVMe, the new storage technologies. And okay, M.2 SATA and M.2 NVMe SSDs are the new storage interfaces for the latest motherboard technologies that are currently on the market for custom built PCs. That is, if you're building your own PCs, if you're building your own desktop computer. And this is the latest technology that is, and it's extension of the SATA, current SATA technology, but there are differences. And I'm getting ready to explain those differences. And I'm going to show you some diagrams here in a few minutes. But, excuse me. M.2 SATA storage technology is an extension of the current SATA SSD storage technology, but is smaller than current SATA SSD storage technology and doesn't require a data cable to connect the SSD to a motherboard. And M.2 NVMe storage technology, or non-volatile memory express storage technology, is an open standard that was developed to allow modern SSDs to operate at the read and write speeds their flash memory is capable of. And M.2 NVMe SSD storage technology allows flash memory to operate as an SSD directly through the PCI interface on a motherboard rather than operating through the slower SATA interface of a system board or motherboard. Also, M.2 SSD storage technology doesn't require a data cable to connect to the SSD to a motherboard. So, both of them, you have to have a system board that supports this technology, and all you do is just plug them into the port on the system board. You don't have to have a cable for either one of them. The difference is that M.2 is just an extension of the current SATA interface, and the M.2 NVMe works similar to like the PCI interface on the system board, like plugging in a graphics card, or where you plug in a graphics card, or you plug in like a sound card or a capture card, into the PCI slots on your system board. And I got a diagram here to show you of this here. And we're going to get this down here. Alright. Alright. And now we're going to go to our next input here. Alright. And here we go. As you can see, there's on the left, the M.2 SATA SSD and the M.2 NVMe SSD on the other side. And as I previously said, you got to have a system board that supports these technologies, and a lot of system boards coming out do support these new technologies. And but they also support the SATA connection, the 2.5 inch SATA SSDs that you have to have a cable to plug into the system board and plug into the SSD along with the power cable. But these two, they get their power off PCI. They get their power off the system board, so you don't have to have a cable for either one of those. And also, you can see the fundamental difference, in the design of them. The M.2 has 2 slots on it, as you can see, and the M.2 NVMe has 1 slot on it. And and when you are building your computer, if you build a computer and you get this technology and this type of SSD, you'll be able to see, read your motherboard manual if you're not sure, and you'll be able to just get you the right kind of M.2. If it's an M.2 SATA SSD, get an M.2 SATA SSD. If it's an M.2 NVMe SSD, just get an M.2 NVMe SSD, and you'll be good to go. And so, well, with that said here, I guess we're going to go ahead and end everything here. And I'll go back to myself here. Right there. Okay. And now, alright. And if you're curious and you want to find out any more information about me, you can find me on the University of Cincinnati's homepage at homepages.uc.edu. Matilda Key Herzog DL, or you can listen to this podcast on Spreaker.com in the technology section of their webpage, and on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Play. You can also watch this on YouTube as well too when I post these. And I have a LinkedIn page you can check me out on too if you're interested in doing that. And I'd like to thank everyone for watching and listening today. And I'll be talking at you soon and seeing you soon. Goodbye until next time.